Welcome to the Explainer. Look, if you've ever felt that pit of anxiety or just pure defeat when trying to get your bird out of their cage, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're zeroing in on one absolutely essential everyday interaction. It's the one thing that can literally make or break your relationship with your parrot, the step up. We're going to look at exactly how we can use behavioral science to build deep, real trust so your bird willingly steps up without ever feeling trapped or, compelled to bite. Now, have you ever watched your parrot almost step up and then they suddenly freeze, lean away, or bam, they lunge? Yeah, it's a deeply frustrating pain point for so many owners. But here's the thing. Understanding the behavioral cause behind that exact reaction is the absolute first step toward a bite-free relationship. They aren't just doing it to be mean, they are actually communicating with us. Bird training can definitely feel overwhelming, but don't panic. Today's agenda is essentially a systematic, science-backed roadmap to fix this. We're going to cover the root of the biting problem, reading that subtle body language, building up your toolkit, the basics of target training, shaping the actual step up, and finally, consistency and safe practice. All right, starting with the step-up biting problem, let's roll up our sleeves and unpack exactly where things tend to go wrong. So we really need to acknowledge why the step-up so often becomes this dangerous battlefield. Take a look at the stark contrast here between old-school advice and modern behavioral science. The traditional method usually tells you to gently press a finger against your bird's chest, right? Basically throwing them off balance until they're forced to step up. Well, that is actually negative reinforcement. Modern ethology, on the other hand, relies completely on positive reinforcement. That means we give the bird a choice, and they step up voluntarily because they want to earn a highly desired reward. The crucial takeaway here is super simple. When you press into a bird's chest, they step up just to escape that uncomfortable pressure. They're simply avoiding an aversive stimulus. And over time, a lot of parrots figure out a much faster way to make your annoying finger go away. They just bite it. So using force actually trains your bird to bite you. Moving on to reading pre-bite body language. Because before we can ask for any behavior, we really need to know what our birds are trying to tell us. A bite usually doesn't start with a beak. It starts with a tiny posture shift that you might just be missing. If your bird is lunging, crouching down like they're about to pounce, hissing, opening their beak, or splaying their tail feathers, pay attention. Also watch for eye pinning, that's that rapid shrinking and enlarging of the pupil, or if they have flattened or excessively fluffed feathers. If you see any of this, they are literally screaming for space. Recognizing these early signals is what allows you to stop your approach before a bite ever even happens. And this perfectly illustrates one of the absolute biggest errors beginners make, offering fingers way too early. People so often interpret a bird biting as a sign that they should just, keep pushing, keep trying to force the interaction to build trust. But offering your fingers to a fearful bird too early, it only teaches them that your hands are unpredictable threats. Instead, we have to switch to tool-first contact. Give the bird a week, maybe even more, to investigate a completely neutral object, like a wooden dowel, before your fingers ever even enter the equation. All right, let's talk about tools for positive reinforcement. It's time to get equipped. Now that we know exactly what to avoid, let's look at the foundational tools you're going to use to bridge this communication gap. Your basic toolkit should include a perch ladder, which really just means having some short dowels or a stable perch offering a couple of different heights, and some high-value, pea-sized treats that your bird already absolutely loves. You'll also want a target cue, like a simple chopstick, and an optional but highly recommended clicker. We are basically replacing physical force with crystal clear communication. Now, you might be wondering, is it kind of mean to make my bird work for treats? Absolutely not. This brings us to a super fascinating behavioral principle called contra-freeloading. It turns out your parrot actually prefers to work to earn their reinforcement rather than just getting it for free in a bowl. Training perfectly satisfies their natural wild desire to forage and work. It gives them this incredible sense of empowering autonomy and real confidence in their choices. It's just phenomenally enriching for them. Which brings us to target training basics. Honestly, this is where the magic really starts to happen. What's truly fascinating here is the concept of shaping. Now, the formal textbook definition is the differential reinforcement of successive approximations. But simply put, shaping just means we're taking a massive, scary goal, like stepping onto a giant human hand, and breaking it down into tiny, super safe, achievable pieces. We reward each subtle variation that gets them closer to the final goal. It's exactly like climbing the rungs on a ladder. Let's look at a concrete example of what these ladder rungs actually look like. You don't just walk up and ask the bird to step up. Nope. Rung 1 might literally just be rewarding your bird for touching a target stick that you're holding near your hand. Rung 2 might require them to touch the target and take just one tiny step toward your hand. See what we're doing? You're completely removing the massive pressure of step up right now and replacing it with, hey, just do this one small, completely safe thing. This professional shaping plan takes all that abstract ethology and turns it into a highly concrete checklist. First is proximity. Reward your bird just for staying calm when your hand is nearby. Next, orientation. Reward them for even just turning or stepping slightly toward the hand. Then, contact. Wait for them to voluntarily lift a foot to touch you. After that comes weight bearing. You reward them for actually putting weight on that foot. And finally, phase 5, the full step. Both feet are on the hand, and boom, they get a jackpot of treats. The whole point is that the bird moves voluntarily, entirely at their own pace. Okay, shaping the voluntary step up. Let's move into the actual execution and see how this all builds together in real time. To make this shaping process actually work, your timing has to be flawless. Enter the 1-second marker rule. Whether you use a mechanical clicker or a really consistent bridge word like yes, you must mark the exact behavior within 1 second of it happening. This creates a beautifully clean cause and effect link for your parrot. If you wait too long, well, your bird's going to connect that food reward to something else entirely, like maybe turning away or bobbing their head. So you really have to decide exactly where that moment lives before you start. For a step up, the exact moment you mark and reward might be the split second the very first foot actually touches the perch or your hand. Not when they finish moving, and definitely not when they're just leaning, but the precise exact moment of contact. Pick one specific target behavior so you can always spot it in under a second. And your physical mechanics matter just as much as your timing. So here are the golden rules for hand positioning. First, don't crowd the bird. Remember, to them, we kind of look like giant predators. Move slowly. Next, always offer your hand slightly higher than their claws. Because of their body shape, birds vastly prefer to step up rather than step down. And crucially, keep your hand completely steady. A moving, shaky hand feels like a trap, but a steady hand? That looks like a safe, secure landing pad. Before you ever raise the criteria, say moving from just 1 foot touching to full weight bearing, you've got to use a 2-step safety check. Number 1, ensure the bird can perform the current rung smoothly today, not just once, but multiple times. Number 2, ensure their body language is completely calm. We're looking for loose posture and steady attention. If they look stiff or nervous at all, do not raise the criteria. You really want to make sure your progress doesn't outpace their comfort level. Finally, consistency and safe practice. Let's lock in everything we've talked about to keep your training sessions productive and totally stress-free. First rule of thumb, keep your training sessions incredibly short. We are talking between 2 and 5 minutes maximum. You want to stop while the bird is still showing interest, and following a simple decision guide is absolutely vital. If your bird steps away or misses the rung 3 times in a row, just drop back down to an easier rung. This isn't a failure at all. It's actually you listening to them and rebuilding that trust with fewer demands. This quote right here is honestly the absolute golden rule. If you want a parrot to step up willingly without biting, highly reinforce the step up. It's that simple. Never, ever punish a bite or react with anger. Punishment just destroys trust. Instead, set up the environment so bites don't happen in the first place, ignore them if they do, and just make the voluntary, choice-based step up the absolute most rewarding part of your bird's entire day. We've covered a ton of ground today, from ditching negative reinforcement to breaking down shaping into tiny, bite-sized pieces. So I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on tonight. What exact rung of the ladder will you and your parrot practice tomorrow? Define that one tiny, safe behavior. Gather up your target stick, grab your clicker, get those high-value treats ready, and start building that incredible bond of trust from the ground up tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.